Hello and welcome to this WYSIWYG Web Builder tutorial. This tutorial is all about forms. Today I'm going to show you how to create forms for your website with WYSIWYG Web Builder. I'm going to give you different advices on how to design them, on how to make them more secure with Google Recaptcha, and I'm going to show you some tricks that will help your forms be more functional and look more professional. So what you're seeing now is a template that I'm working on. In future tutorials I'm going to also make a video about this template, and what I want to do is a form for my website. So I'm going to show you how this form is going to look like. As you can see, this is a contact page, and here on the left hand side you have a form, and on the right hand side you have additional information like working hours, and this is a whole page. So how to do this form, I'm going to show you how to create one and how to design it. So let's get started. So the first thing that I'd like to do before creating a form is I'd like to create a new directory, and I'm going to show you later why. So this directory, I'm going to call it contact, and I'm going to copy this page to use it as an example, but I'm going to show you how to design the form. So I'm going to call this page index, and so this is basically a layout grid which has which is divided by 2 and has equal sizes. So I'm going to delete these. So the first thing that I like to do is first to check if the page has a PHP extension. So when you create a form, you need to have a PHP extension. So the easiest way is just to change it from here where it says file extension, and you just change it to PHP. So let's first start by creating this form, and so under form controls you can see the variety of form controls you can use. You can use the edit box that we're going to use, where people can type their name, email, phone, a text area where they're going to type their message. But additionally, you can also add, for example, a ratio button or a checkbox button, for example, so that people can check if they read the terms and conditions. And you can also use file upload if, for example, you want your users to send you an image or something like that. You can also add a data picker, color picker, and I'm going to show you also this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add space here in between, and I'd like to do it with text. So you can use different techniques, for example with horizontal line, but I like to do it with text. So I'm just going to add a text here, and the first field I'm going to add is an edit box. So I'm just going to drag it here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that it has a size that I want. So it's going to be, let's say, 40 pixels. Here you can see the size, and double click on it. I'm going to call this field name, and a placeholder is going to be called name. So this is the name that is going to appear in your inbox when you receive the message, and here name is going to be written on the field I'm going to show you. The second tab you can see is style, but we're going to skip this. So you can change the background, you can add border, you can change the font and stuff like that, but we're going to skip this for now. I'm going to show you additional techniques that you can design those fields using the style manager, which is handier in my opinion. So a very important tab that we're going to talk about is the validate. And the first thing is the mode. So it's set by default, which means that So your browser will control if the fields are entered correctly, and if there is an error, it's going to throw you a message from your browser. For example, in the name fields, let's say that you forget to type a domain, and it will say enter your email properly. You can also use more modern techniques, for example, Bootstrap, which is more modern. And by Bootstrap, it can, for example, InfoBubble can check real time if you entered correctly, and it will correct you real time even before clicking submit. But I'd like to keep it more simple and just use the default settings. So from here, I'm going to make this field a required field. You can also add characters for minimum and maximum, and add an error message. For example, please enter your name. So this is what we're going to do now, and so let's click OK, and you can see it says name. This is basically this text here, and the type we're going to leave it as it is. So now we need space, so I'm just going to, let's say, copy this text object, and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to add a new edit box like this, which is also going to be 40 pixels wide, and this time I'm going to call it email. And the placeholder is also going to be email. Now the type, I'm going to change it to email, so the browser could check if the email is entered correctly. Here you can use additional settings, for example, disabled or read only, if you want, for example, the user just to see the options without changing it, but we're going to leave those options away now. And again, for the validate, I'm going to make this field required, and it will say please enter email. Okay, so let's add space, and let's add another edit box, which is going to be again 40 pixels wide, and this time it's going to be phone. So again, phone, and I'm going to change this to tell like this, and validate. Let's make it required, and let's say please enter phone like this. So another space, and there is one more field that we're going to add, and that's the text area. So for the text area, we're going to do basically the same thing. It will be called message, and here, for example, we will call it your message. Okay, now under validate, I'm going to add, for example, please enter your message. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to add is a button, which you can add from here. And the only value that I'm going to change here is here the name, which is going to be submit. So now this is how the form looks like. As you can see, it has a default style, and now I'm going to show you how to change this style by using the style manager. As I told you, you can change it from here, but if you're doing from here, there are restrictions. For example, you cannot change the font, you can not, for example, change the pointer type, And if you change it from here, you're basically forced to do the same thing all over again for every field. So that's why I'm going to show you how to change this from the Style Manager. So let's go under Tools and open the Style Manager. And what you basically do is I have created a new style for my field. So you just basically hit Add, and I'm going to show you how it works. So here I have custom style for my field. So as you can see, I'm going to show you in my HTML, I have added a custom Google font. And from here, I have added the CSS code here, so it could be applied on this field. Then under background, so the background is gray. So if you see, you can see here the background is gray, and I've just added the background like that. So the border is also gray to match with the field, and I have a border radius. So this is just how rounded these borders will be. As you can see, it is not completely sharp, they're a little bit rounded. And it's 5 pixels, and the width is also 5 pixels. So the font, what really is really important here is the size of the font. So I have 12 pixels, and the color is black. So and the settings after that I have not changed. I have left them by default. And what I want to point you out here is this option here, margins. So what this is if I go to this simple design, if I click, you can see that this typing area starts from the border where where the field begins. But if you can see here, when I start typing, it starts a little bit to the right. So it's shifted a little bit to the right. And this is what margins means here. And it's 3 on top, right button, etc. So this is for the field, and I'm going to show you how you apply. So you just double click here. After you have created the style, you just open this menu and apply it. And as you can see, everything here grades out. And you can see the style is applied. So for the email, same thing, you just apply it like that. And for the phone, same thing, you just apply the field. And for the message. So let's talk now about the button. In order to create a button that matches also the style, you have to create a new style, which I have done here, called button, and it's the same thing. So you add, if you want to, if you have a custom font, you just add the CSS code here. You can change the background. In my case, the background is light blue. You change the border color, which is also light blue, and the border radius is 40. As you can see, we have a bigger border radius, which is more rounded. The font size is also 12. And everything else, and the text color is white this time. Everything else is by default. And I also want to point out this cursor. As you can see, it is changed by pointer. So this is, in this case, you can see that as I hover over, the cursor doesn't change. But if I hover over here, it changes to pointer. So this is what this option means. Additionally, to do this option, you can right click and say object HTML, and you can add it like that, cursor pointer. But this is the old way to do it, so just you just know. So another thing is, as you can see this transition here as I hover over, and I'm also going to show you this. So let's first apply this style like this, and as you can see, we have the same form. So how you apply this style, it is really easy. So you just click on the button, and you need to, under home, you click animations, and under transition you hit add, and so this has to be set to hover. And background color, you just change this to, let's say, purple. And you leave everything by default, and as you can see, you have this hover effect. So another thing that I want to show you is to set up the tab index. So you just double click on it, and what the tab index does is every field has a number, and you can navigate between the fields by using the tab key. So here, when I hit tab, I can navigate between these fields. In order to do this, you have to number those indexes. So it's really simple. You just double click, and for the tab index, let's say 1. So the email is going to be number 2, phone is going to be number 3, and message is going to be 4, and the button is going to be 5. No, it's going to be 6, and I'm going to show you why later. Okay, and another small thing that I'm going to change is to get rid of this border that comes up, this highlighter when I click on the field. It's really simple. You just set here to this input focus to disabled. And let's do the same thing on all the fields. Okay, now, so what we need to do now is to make this form actually work. So in order to do this, we have to double click on the layout grid, and under form, we have to check enable form and then click settings. So this is where you set up your form. So what I like to do is to check this use PHP inbuilt from processor and enter the email that you want to receive your form messages. So it is good if you use your website built-in email. So that is based on the domain where you're going to publish your website. So I'm going to do just that. And if, for example, you have in your form additional characters, for example, Cyrillic script or something more special, you can change this to a UTF-8 or ISO. You just have to experiment with this. So now we have to add a success page and error page. So pages that user is going to land if they enter successfully their form and if they make an error, or if there is an error with the CAPTCHA, which we're going to add later. So first, let's set up these pages. And what I like to do is I like to make it really simple. I'm just going to clone this page, and I'm going to call it contact-success or contact-sent. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete those things, and for example, let's import let's say an icon font and this thick like this. I'm going to change this to green. And let's center this to the left. And we also need an additional space here. And let's add a text that will say, "Thank you for your message," like this. And because I have styles on my website, I'm just going to apply a style. So for example, this one. "Thank you for your message," like this. So this is how the page looks like. It's really simple. And for the error page, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to clone this, and it will say contact-error. And let's change this to, let's say, this error sign, which is going to be red, and it will say, for example, an error occurred. And let's make a link here. Let's say it will say try again, and this is going to be a link for the contact index page, like this. So as you can see, there is a link now. Try again. Okay, so now we just need to link those pages. So under form, we just link for the success page and the error page. So like this. So let's first publish this site, and before that I'm going to show you some additional thing before we publish and test it. So what we have done is when people enter their message here, and there is a typo here. So when people enter their message, they're either going to see the first success page that says your message has been sent successfully, or the error page. What you can do additionally is you can add a dialog like this, and this dialog, for example, here you can change the title, for example, message, you can make the form display this dialog, so you have to uncheck show dialog automatically, and you can make the form show that dialog instead of the page. But you're also going to have to set up these pages, so you have to redesign them to be more simple so that they can fit this dialog. So you just under target you can see dialog, so you can also experiment with it. I have always done it with this so without a dialog, so the older stubborn way. So let's now publish this page, and let's see. And let's try out the form. So, and as you can see, the form has been sent correctly, and I'm going to show you how this message looks like in my inbox. So now, what do we need to do to make this form more secure? And this is to add a CAPTCHA. So you can add the simple CAPTCHA that is pre-installed, for example, by using this CAPTCHA here object. But I'm going to show you how to make it more modern by using Google's Recaptcha. So first what we need to do is you need to install Google Recaptcha in your WYSIWYG web builder. So Recaptcha, and we're going to use Recaptcha version 3. You can install this for free from the WYSIWYG web builder website. You just have to download and install this extension. So after that, you have to sign up for Google Recaptcha. So let's type Google Recaptcha. And let's go to admin console. And let's add a website from here. And so this is going to be tutorial test. This is just a label. And we need Recaptcha version 3. So the domain is very important. So, and just accept the terms and conditions, and let's click submit. So this is your site key and secret key that we are going to use. So now let's drag the Recaptcha object from here, and let's set it up. So first enter your site key and then your secret key. So let's set up the error page, which we already have, like this. And so under data fetch, I'm going to change this to CURL. Okay, so let's publish this again and let's try it out. So now when we go back to our page, you can see that there is this Recaptcha dialog here that states that the website is protected by Recaptcha, and we can check out again this form. So I'm going to add simply random characters. Okay, so, and as you can see, it is successfully sent. So this was the tutorial about making forms in WYSIWYG Web Builder. I hope this tutorial was useful for you, and thank you for watching it.